Friends, this happened back in 2018 in a small town in the state of Vermont, USA. There lived a woman named Allison Reed. She was a nurse, kind-hearted, quiet, and completely devoted to her work. Everyone in the hospital admired her because she treated her patients like family. One evening, after finishing her shift, Allison remembered that her mother was sick. She lived alone in another town. Allison decided to drive there that night, so her mother wouldn't have to spend the stormy night by herself. But that night, the weather had other plans. The sky was covered with dark clouds, lightning flashed across the horizon, and the wind howled through the trees. Her fellow nurses tried to stop her. "Allison, don't go tonight. The storm's getting worse." But Allison smiled and said, "My mom's waiting for me. I can't let her stay alone." She got into her old blue car, closed the door, started the engine, and drove off into the storm. The rain was so heavy that even the wipers couldn't clear the windshield properly. The road blurred ahead of her, but she kept driving. She turned on the radio to calm herself. A soft song started playing, but after a few minutes, the signal began to fade. First came a faint static sound. Then suddenly, a woman's voice. "Help me. Please don't leave me here." Allison froze. She quickly turned off the radio, but the voice didn't stop. It was now coming from inside the car, right behind her. She slowly looked into the rearview mirror. At first, nothing. Then lightning flashed, and for a split second, she saw a woman's face, pale white skin, wide eyes, blue lips, and soaked hair, as if she had just crawled out of water. Allison screamed and slammed the brakes. The car skidded off the road and crashed into a tree. Everything went black. When she opened her eyes again, the rain was still falling. The car engine had died. She tried to open the door. It creaked open, and mud was everywhere outside. But when she looked down, her heart froze. There were footprints in the mud, bare feet, a woman's feet, starting right behind her car and leading into the woods. "Allison!" called out. "Who's there?" No answer. Only the sound of rain and faint whispers in the wind. She grabbed her flashlight and followed the prints. The darkness deepened between the trees. The rain dripped from every leaf, and occasionally lightning lit up the path. For a moment, everything felt calm. Then suddenly, it felt like someone was walking right behind her. And then she saw her, a woman standing behind a tree, in a white dress, face wet from the rain, and staring silently at Allison. Allison stepped back. Lightning flashed again, and the woman vanished. Allison ran back to her car, slammed the door, and tried to start the engine, but it wouldn't start. She whispered through tears, "Please, please start." Then the radio turned on by itself. Static, again. Then the same voice, "Don't leave me here." Allison reached to switch it off, but the voice grew louder. She felt the back seat sink slightly, as if someone had just sat down. The car shook gently. She turned around. No one there. Then in the rearview mirror, that same face again. Eyes wide open, lifeless, lips moving slowly. "Don't leave me here." The next morning, when the police arrived, they found the car by the roadside. The driver's door was open, blood on the seat, and on the back seat, an old ID card. It read, "Lydia Marsh, missing since 2013. When they checked the records, they found that Lydia Marsh had vanished on that same road on a rainy night 5 years earlier. Since that day, drivers say that when it rains heavily, the radios on that road turn on by themselves, and a faint voice whispers, "Help me. Please, don't leave me here." Sometimes, roads don't just carry travelers. They carry memories, voices, and souls that never found their way home. And if you're ever driving alone on a stormy night and a voice whispers from your radio, remember, maybe she's still waiting. This incident took place in 2015 in a small town in Texas where there was an old hospital called St. Mercy Hospital. During the day, it looked like any ordinary hospital. Patients came and went, doctors and nurses were busy, but at night, the silence felt like a graveyard. A nurse named Laura Jensen worked the night shift. She often said that at night, you could hear even the sound of your patient's breathing. But one night, she heard something else. It was a stormy November night. Thunder rumbled and rain lashed against the windows. There were only a few patients in the hospital because the roads were closed. Laura was in Ward 9, taking care of an elderly woman named Mrs. Carter. Around 2 a.m., she heard footsteps in the hallway, slow, dragging steps. She thought perhaps a patient had gotten up, but when she stepped outside, the sound stopped. She opened the door. The hallway was empty. Only the flickering light and the sound of the rain. When she turned back, she saw Mrs. Carter awake, staring at the ceiling. Her lips trembled. She whispered, "He's at the window." Laura slowly turned toward the window. Outside was darkness, nothing visible. Suddenly, a flash of lightning illuminated the room, and she saw it. The shadow of a man standing outside the 4th floor window. It was impossible. There was no balcony, no ledge where anyone could stand. Laura turned off the light to see more clearly. Another flash of lightning, and now the shadow was closer. Its hand pressed against the glass, as if trying to look inside. Laura froze in fear and ran out to call the security guard. The guard laughed at first, but followed her. When they returned, the window was shut. The room looked normal, and Mrs. Carter was asleep. The next morning, Mrs. Carter was found dead, but her face looked strangely peaceful, as if she had been freed from a lifelong burden. When Laura told the doctors, they dismissed it as stress and exhaustion. But a few weeks later, an old file was found in the hospital archives. In 1972, a doctor had taken his own life in Ward 9 after accidentally killing a patient with a wrong injection. His name was Dr. Arnold Carter. Yes, the same last name as the woman. Since then, the staff whisper that on stormy nights, a shadow appears at the window of Ward 9, a man with glowing red eyes, pressing his hand against the glass, whispering, "I never meant to kill her." This story took place in 1998 in a small Virginia town called Everton Hills. At the edge of the forest stood a small house known as Hillside Cabin. A family lived there: David, his wife Lisa, and their 6-year-old son Ben. David was a firefighter, and life was peaceful until one November night when a terrible storm arrived. The radio issued a warning: the storm will pass directly over Everton Hills. Stay indoors. Lisa shut all the windows, and the lights flickered on and off. David lit the fireplace and told his son, "Ben, no matter what happens, don't go outside." By 8 p.m., thunder roared and rain poured as if the sky had burst open. Soon, the power went out completely. David grabbed a shovel and slowly climbed the stairs. Each step creaked under his feet. The sound grew louder, then stopped. He reached the door and gently pushed it open. The room was pitch dark. A flash of lightning lit it up, and he saw it. A tall, thin figure stood by the window, soaked and motionless. "Hello? Who are you?" David called out. The figure turned, and its face was gone, just black emptiness. David dropped the lantern. The light went out, and when it flared up again, the room was empty. The window, however, was open, and outside in the mud were deep footprints leading toward the forest. David went back downstairs and told Lisa everything. They decided to stay awake until morning, but at 3 a.m., there was a soft knock on the front door. David peeked through the glass. A tall shadow stood outside. "Who's there?" he called. A faint woman's voice replied, "Please, help me." He opened the door, but no one was there. Only a wet handprint on the door, with fingers unnaturally long. He slammed the door shut, but a gust of wind rushed inside, blowing out the lantern. And the next moment, Ben screamed. They ran upstairs, but Ben's bed was empty, the window wide open, rain falling inside, a flash of lightning, and they saw him. Ben was standing outside the window, his eyes completely black, and behind him, a shadow with a hand resting on his shoulder. Lisa fainted. David tried to open the window. For days, they searched the woods, but found no bodies, no clues. Only one thing carved into a tree, written in what looked like blood. "We're home now." Even today, when storms hit Everton Hills, locals claim they see a faint light flickering inside that old cabin. Sometimes, a child's laughter drifts through the wind, and those who dare to go near say they hear a whisper, "You'll never be alone again."